Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought that I could work through my recipe junk journal. I've been working on this for quite some time. It is an eclectic journal. I'm making it for my daughter. It has a lot of our family's recipes in them. So today I wanted to just kind of film a overview of this little old school calculating machine receipt. I forget what these are called, but I picked a pack of these up from the thrift store a while ago, and I love collaging on these. So I just thought that I would record how I do it, kind of where my mind goes while I'm doing it to maybe give you guys some ideas. Now this one here I have been working on. This went into I want to say it was like my floral junk journal. I just did a flip through of it here on the channel. But this is one that I did for that book, so it has all of the scraps from that junk journal. And it's just really relaxing to do. It's really easy just to cut a piece off. You could use it for belly bands. You could use it for snippets, ephemera. You could turn them into pockets, tuck spots. I mean, so many different things, but it's a good way to get rid of your scraps. I also use stickers and stamps and material, ribbon, all kinds of stuff on it. You can do whatever you like. But if you guys don't have one of these receipts or a roll of receipts, you can also just use strips of paper, or you can use a whole scrapbook paper or a copy paper, whatever you guys have around. I would use it as your base because this receipt roll isn't even thick paper. It's really thin paper if you remember the old school receipt rolls. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm just taking some of the bigger pieces of scraps and I'm doing my base. Now I do go back and forth on how I do this. I don't really have like a rhyme or reason to it. I just play around with my scraps and my ephemera pieces, and I just kind of lay it down however I see fit. Um, yeah, there's really no right or wrong way to do it. And so, but for me, in this video, I'm just looking for some of the larger papers. Right now I'm organizing my little stash here because I felt a bit overwhelmed and I feel like having all of my stickers together and my stamps and my scrap papers and my fussy cut papers. I just feel like it's easier for me to navigate on how I want this to go because you can see everything laid out in front of you. So that's what I ended up doing here. But I just lay a base down first and then I start decorating on top of it. Or if I have, little open spots where you can see the actual receipt paper, I just find something that I can cover it with that I think it looks good. It's funny because as I'm filming this, when I'm looking at it in person, it doesn't look good to me sometimes. But as I'm editing it and I'm looking at what I'm doing and I move the piece, I'm like, no, it looked good there. It's funny. I just had to share that because I have found that when I'm junk journaling, when I'm editing, I'm always like, oh man, I should have left it like that. It looked good. But in the moment, in person, for some reason, I don't see it the same as through the lens. It's really weird. So here I'm just kind of adding things to the top of the base pages now. I like to do more papers underneath, and then I like to add like the stickers and the fussy cut items and the stamps and stuff like that to the top. You can do buttons. You can have little like bulb pins that hang off of some of the fabric pieces that you do. It just really depends on how you want it. But I'm just going to go through this and I'm going to start gluing stuff down. I don't work through the whole strip. Like I don't do the whole strip with base and then go back and do it. I use just like a section of it and I work on one section and then I move on. And sometimes if I have a hard time looking for a place for something, I'll just move on from it and I'll go back to it. I do the same thing while I'm actually in my junk journaling. If something takes me too long or I'm not finding something, I will just leave that page alone and go back to it. I believe for this specific collage, I was just using my Tombow Mono glue. I kind of bounce back and forth between different glues, and I have since I started junk journaling. So, but I am using the Tombow Mono now. I did also want to mention when I am doing this collage here, I was distressing some of the pages. I really like the vintage photo for my distressing ink. That's usually what I use on mainly everything. But that's what I'm going to do throughout this whole video. You'll see me distressing, and I will be speeding up some of the video just because it's really repetitive, and I don't want you to just have to sit through that if you guys are more of like a get to the point type of video person. So I hope you guys all enjoy this video. I am going to be playing some music over this so that you guys can just relax and watch it. If you're like me, I like to have videos like this playing while I'm crafting. It just gives me inspiration, and I love to help the other channels that I love watching. So I will just let the video play. I will even watch the advertisements and stuff because I know that that's very helpful to the channel. So I hope you all enjoy hanging out with me today, watching this video. I hope it gives you some ideas and inspiration. Now I'll probably be popping on and off, maybe to describe what I was doing or maybe some tips or tricks or something like that. But for the most part, I am going to play music here. I don't want you guys to get bored over me just talking, and I don't want to ramble on. So sit back, relax, and craft right alongside me. I wanted to jump back on here and let you guys know that this here is a decoupage napkin that I'm using. So you can basically use anything for these little collages. Now I also wanted to mention that when I did this collage, I felt like it was better to start something like this after I had my offcuts from my journal that I'm doing. Now if you do not do like theme specific journals, use any of your scraps, because if you don't do theme specific, those scraps are going to match any type of journal that you're working on. But for this one specifically, I had to use things, well, I didn't have to, but I chose to use things that actually went along with my cookbook recipe theme. So as you can see, these are pieces that are from my cookbook junk journal. But like the one that I had showed you a couple minutes ago, the one that I had mentioned that I used in my previous junk journal that I finished, now that I used offcuts and trims from that specific junk journal as well, but you can definitely use that in all different types of junk journals that have to do with like nature and butterflies and birds and things like that, because I feel like it has a wider range of themes that it covers. So I don't know, just kind of keep that in mind. I wouldn't say grab a bunch of your papers and just start ripping up offcuts and things to start one of these collages. I feel like this is a great way to get rid of all of those scraps and extra pieces that you would typically throw away, but now you can use in your junk journal. So that is what I would suggest doing if you are going to start one of these little collages. Now here I wanted to point out that some of the stickers that I get through Temu, I really like to cut off the white border around it. Sometimes I'll just distress it, but here you'll see that I cut the whole thing off around it, and I like the way it looks without it on this specific item. I also wanted to mention that at the beginning you saw me laying down my foundation first, basically using the larger pieces of paper, and then I started to use the smaller items to put on top. But here you see I'm just working from the right to the left. I will say that this way was a little bit harder because I felt like I liked the dimensional look to it where I had the base and then I had the things on top. So it was like it was layered. Here I'm kind of just layering on top of layers. You'll see here with this specific paper, I'm trying to start doing my base again. I'm trying to go back to that. I feel like that is the easier way and I feel like it looks better when I do it like that. But I think it all just depends on preference and how you're feeling when you're crafting. You may like layering on top of each other as you go. It just really depends. So, but see, you can see here I was having a hard time figuring out how to fill that big space in. So if I would have layered with larger papers and then added the smaller ones, I think it would have looked better. And also, I wouldn't have so many little things in one specific area, if that makes sense. I hope that's making sense for you guys. Now, these little inventory stickers have nothing to do with recipes or cookbooks or anything like that, but this actually belongs to my dad, and I wanted to make sure to have some items of his inside this junk journal as well. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned this is for my daughter's recipe junk journal, and so I've been using things from her grandmother's and her aunts, myself, and I've even added some of my dad's recipes in here, but I didn't have any, like lace and buttons and things like that from him. So I incorporated this inventory sticker. And so I have a roll of blue stickers and red ones just so that they would match her junk journal. And she'd also have some little, things from him as well. Because he owns a moving company, he has for many, many years. And these are inventory stickers from that. The moving company has been in our family for generations. So I thought that that would be really cool to incorporate in her junk journal. Alright, you guys, that is it for today's video. This is the finished product. I probably will not be adding to this just because I don't see myself using more than this in this specific junk journal. If you're doing something more like a generic theme where you can use it in multiple junk journals, I would definitely do more and just roll it right back up like this and store it just as is. So I hope you all enjoyed hanging out with me today. Let me know if you've tried something like this, and let me know if you are going to try this for your first time. So be safe, be blessed, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, you guys.